the Thursday, April 24th, City of Hollister Planning Commission meeting to order. Billy, verification of agenda posting, please.
Wait a minute, let me get my stuff.
It's off to a rocky start.
Rookie city manager.
Learning curve.
Let's see here. First item is allocations. Next building.
Yeah, it goes through. Goes through. Put it somewhere over there.
Carol, you want to lead us in a song?
Oh, you don't want me to sing?
You don't want to get her started.
No,
Karaoke. Please, all
A
right.
little karaoke.
I'm not a singer.
I'll bring my guitar next time.
Okay, sorry about that. We did call to order.
Yes, verification of agenda posting.
Thank you. The agenda for the April 24th, 2014 Hollister Planning Commission was posted on April 18th at 4:49 p.m.
Okay, so Commissioner Lenore, would you mind leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Ready, salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Alvarez? Here. Commissioner Lenore?
Present.
Commissioner Huboy?
Here?
Commissioner Harvey?
Here.
Chairman Torres?
Here. Okay, approval of minutes for March 27th, 2014.
I'll make the motion for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we will now move to communications from the public on items not listed on the agenda.
Thank you, Chairman. I think we have a few people in the audience that would like to speak tonight.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dennis Dolezal. I lived in Hollister for approximately 12 years. Recently, I was on the Hollister neighborhood blog, and I saw a lot of information about motorhomes being cited while people are loading and unloading them. I've looked at the city ordinance, which is 10.20.020, which is public right-of-way, entitled Parking and Storage of Recreational Vehicles Prohibited. And the way it's currently written, if I have it correctly, it says, "No person shall abandon, park, store, leave, keep or maintain, or permit to be abandoned, parked, stored, left, or maintained in the recreational vehicle or boat upon any public right-of-way. No habitation or occupancy of the recreational vehicle or boat shall be allowed at any time that the recreational vehicle or boat is located on the public right-of-way, except when a person is actively loading or unloading the recreational vehicle or boat." Okay, as I said, I've owned my RV for 12 years. I have it on the side of my house. It's behind a gate. It's not parked on the street. But what I would like to do, and what I've read on the blog is others would like to do, is be able to pull it out, park it in front of the house, hook your tow car up, load it, and then be able to leave at a reasonable time next morning. For me, that's 24 hours. Some of the other folks I've read, it's anywhere from 24 to 72 hours. Okay, I no way advocate it being parked on the street for storage. If you can afford a $50,000, $100,000 motorhome, you ought to be able to afford a place to store it. Shouldn't be on the street. But to park it out there while you're loading it, unloading it, getting ready to go in the morning, 2-3 days is fine. So I'd like to propose that you put an amendment to what I just read, that while actively loading or unloading the recreational vehicle or boat, it may be parked on the public right-of-way for a maximum of 24, 36, 48 hours, whatever you folks see as reasonable. And that's what I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Where'd Billy go? Okay, any additional comments from the public on items not on the agenda?
Good evening, Luke Markham, and I've lived here 12 years? 12 years. Yeah, I'm at about 9 months or something like that. Love your community, our community, bought a home here. And my local real estate agent assured me that it was fine to park my little trailer in the front on the driveway. All I know is what the real estate agent told me. So, surprise, surprise, after we're here a few months, we hear of this issue. You know, if I could put it in the backyard, I'd love to put it in the backyard. The property that we bought, you just can't do it. There's walk-through gates, there's no vehicle gates. So we're stuck with our, how many thousands of dollars was that RV? Mine's not, okay? It's not that. It's a very small 17-foot travel trailer. So I felt like I was, not your fault, I felt like I was misled by the local real estate agent that said it's not going to be a problem. Repeatedly, for months that we were looking at property here in Hollister. I know that it's been on the books. You know, can you cut some people some slack that maybe have done some things to enhance their property to allow vehicles to park there? I'm not parking a car on the lawn. That's not what we do. But some sort of consideration. That's all we're asking. That's all I'm asking. So thank you very much for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any additional speakers?
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
When everybody's done filling out the speaker cards, if I can get them just down here so I can make you part of the minutes, that would be great.
I'm Christy Clark. I've been a resident for 10 years this month. Of that time, I think we've owned an RV of some sort for the entire 10 years. With 3 small children, I can honestly say I cannot pull it. I personally do not drive my RV, but I cannot load it and unload it in a day. To get it road ready, it takes a couple of days to wash the windows and what have you. It takes a little bit longer than the time that it's currently unloading and unloading. Again, 3 small children, it's hard to get everything they need in that short period of time. So I personally would like it to go back to 72 hours. I am not advocating for anybody to stay, to live in, I don't believe that that is an asset to Hollister. I think that just load, or the 72 hours to load, to unload, to hook up the tow vehicle, to get it road ready so that we can take our vacations would be fantastic. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any additional speakers on items not on the agenda? Okay.
He's just moving. And Brig.
Hi, my name is Shayna, and I've lived here in Hollister for 2 years now. I know that the previous argument about parking RVs and trailers at houses was that it could potentially drive the value of a neighborhood down. I've been doing some research and have not found any evidence that supports that. In fact, I found the opposite. I see on realtor sites for homes for sale that large side yards, driveways, and parking slabs for RV and trailer access are in fact a huge selling point. When we were in the process of buying our home here in Hollister, we would not have even considered a home unless it had these features. I believe it's also important to point out that I do believe all these trailers, RVs, boats should be in good running condition and yards maintained around them, surrounding them. As long as they can fit into a side yard or driveway, I think they should be able to park as long as they are usable and well maintained. Then also I propose the 72-hour rule on the street like any other vehicle that is registered. I believe that the loading and unloading code is unrealistic. I'm a mother myself just like her. I have 2 small children. I can't load everything by myself without my husband. Storage facilities also sometimes have hours of operation that don't always work well with this code if you get home late at night. For example, we need to charge the batteries overnight, turn on propane in order to load groceries. I think a 72-hour rule would solve everybody's problems, RV owners and neighbors alike, so as not to be unloading and loading in unreasonable hours to upset neighbors any further.
Thank you. Any additional speakers on items not on the agenda? Okay. Seeing none, we will go ahead and move into public hearings. Item number 1, Growth Management Allocations 2014-3, filed by Ben Antonio, requesting 3 allocations on a property consisting of approximately 7,854 square feet in the NMU Neighborhood Mixed Use Zoning District located at 0 Pine Drive, more specifically described as Assessor's Parcel 054-042-002.
Thank you.
Jill.
Good evening.
Thank you.
The applicant is requesting 3 residential allocations on approximately 7,854 square feet located at 0 Pine Drive. The site is currently vacant, and the applicant would eventually submit an application for site and architectural review for the multifamily units. A preliminary layout of the subject property would have street access off of Pine Drive. Pine Drive is a smaller street located off of South Street. And the applicant provided, if you could see the slide, a preliminary layout. At the September 26, 2013 Planning Commission meeting, the commission approved a use determination, which is Planning Commission Resolution 2013-23, for the vacant lot at Pine Drive, determining that the request for a conditional use permit can be initiated for a future Planning Commission meeting for waiver of the minimum density for the vacant parcel due to fault trenching not being feasibly possible and lot constraints.
The applicant would be required to submit for a site and architectural review and conditional use permit for a waiver of the minimum density at a future Planning Commission meeting. By awarding the allocations tonight, the Planning Commission has not provided an approval of the design or the layout of the project. Planning Commission must hold a duly noticed public hearing for the approval process, which will include conditions of approval. So this is just for the allocations for tonight. With that, staff recommends Planning Commission adopt the resolution awarding the 3 allocations to the applicant Ben Antonio for a multifamily development. Does the Planning Commission have any questions for staff?
No question? Okay. With that, we will go ahead and open up for public comment. Billy, do you have any speaker cards on this? Let me see, 6:12. Any speaker cards on this item? Okay, we'll bring it back to the commission at 6:12. And what is the pleasure of the commission on this item?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion for approval for growth management allocations 2014-3.
And I will second that motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chairman, if I may?
Yes.
Can I get a motion to possibly move up the planning department reports, so I can give a brief report on the kind of the public comments? And
Sure.
these folks that want to go home and watch the game, I can.
Did you make an motion to adopt the resolution?
Yes, that was,
Yes.
PC
Take the number.
resolution, I said growth
2014-3.
management allocation 2014-3.
Yeah.
Was there a
but the
different PC resolution number on that?
Is
2014-11.
11?
Thank you, Commissioner Lenore. 2014-11 PC resolution.
Thank you.
Thank you. And let's go ahead and move to the Planning Commission reports. Billy?
Is that okay with the commission?
Absolutely.
There should be a motion.
Oh, I'm sorry.
To move it.
A motion to move to...
I'll make the motion to move the planning commission, the planning department reports
Second.
up the agenda.
Okay,
Second.
motion and a second. In
Okay.
favor?
Thank you very much. Yes, about a month and a half, 2 months ago, the city's code enforcement department rules, essentially probably around the beginning of the year, more so than anything else, was sort of directed to become a more proactive division rather than strictly a reactive department. As a result of that, many people received citations with regards to trailers, vehicles, whatnot in the yards on the streets. And so I would say probably February, latter part of February, we had a few speakers come to the city council and at the public comment period at that point, and essentially we're saying the same things that you've heard tonight. So they directed basically us to come back and present the information to you folks to see if there was something that the Planning Commission wanted to do to amend the Hollister Municipal Code in respect to trailers. So what I'm going to do right now is I'll pass out chapter or title 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 20, I think it is, and 10, 10, 30. The kind of, and you can take it home and have it for your record, just for an ease perspective. I assume that with your direction, you'd like to have this formally agendized at the May meeting, and so that these folks have an opportunity and we can make recommendations on potential changes and get your input as well. So I'll do that, and that way we can, like I said, they don't have to sit here all night and listen. They can, but
You're letting them get away?
Need an audience.
Thank you.
Thank you.
so we will agendize this for the May meeting.
May meeting, okay.
Yeah.
Any additional items for the planning
I
commission?
have no
reports?
additional reports this month.
No?
Do? No?
That's right. Okay, great.
Can you clarify what day in May?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It will be May 22nd.
Doesn't need a vote then, right, Bill?
No.
Okay.
May 22nd, okay.
I saw him shaking a head, so that I
Yeah,
assume
no,
that's a
that's fine.
consensus that that's what we want to do, so we're good.
Okay, so those folks that are here for those items, we'll see you in May.
Thank you.
All right, with that.
Thank you.
And I
Thank you.
apologize.
We will move to item number 2, Growth Management Allocation 2014-5, filed by UCP LLC, requesting 65 allocations for a total of 155 units on a property consisting of 32.36 acres in the R1 LPZ Low Density Residential Performance Overlay Zone District, being more specifically described as Assessor's Parcel 051-590-001-054-490-059.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The applicant is requesting 65 residential allocations to complete the Villages at Santa Ana Creek subdivision for a total of 155 units on approximately 32.36 acres in the R1 LPZ Low Density Residential Performance Overlay Zoning District. The applicant would eventually submit an application for a tentative map for the development. As a matter of fact, it's in. We're currently processing it at this time. At the January 28th, 2010 Planning Commission meeting, the Commission approved Planning Commission Resolution 2010-4, awarding the applicant 85 allocations. Then on July 28th, 2011, Planning Commission approved Resolution 2011-12, awarding the applicant 5 allocations. The total units proposed for the Villages of Santa Ana would be 155 units. The applicant is requesting the remaining 65 allocations to complete the development.
The Planning Commission is not providing approval of the design or the layout of the project, and the Planning Commission must hold a duly noticed public hearing for the approval process which will include conditions. And with this, staff recommends the Planning Commission adopt the resolution awarding 65 allocations to UCP LLC for the completion of the Villages at Santa Ana Creek development. Are there any questions for staff?
Questions?
Does this subdivision have a park in it?
This open space.
I couldn't read the one you sent home, so I wasn't
The one
sure.
we sent home, yeah.
It's tough to read.
Yeah, it's a tributary to Santa Ana Creek, so it's more of an open space, not necessarily a park per se, but more of an open space area.
And, okay, I was
Yeah.
just wondering.
Any,
The open space area would be, can you point that out?
But we're only approving
But we're not approving,
allocations
we're not going to
tonight.
debate the design.
Yeah.
Under
I
this,
was just
correct.
asking the question. It's not appropriate to discuss it, I don't think. But just the allocations tonight, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Tonight's for allocations.
okay, any additional questions for staff? No, we will open it up at 6:20 for comment. Billy, any speaker cards on this item?
No.
Okay, so we'll close it at public comment period at 6:20 and bring it right back to commission.
I move to approve growth management allocation 2014-5 by adopting resolution number PC 2014-12 as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Okay, motion carries. Thank you. All right, we will move to item number 3, pre-zone 2013-1. Robert Infeliz requesting a pre-zone of 22.38 acres of land to low-density residential and open space for future annexation into the corporate limits of Hollister. The property is located at 1170 Apricot Lane, APN 020-060-011. CEQA is mitigated negative declaration. Joe?
The applicant's requesting the approval to pre-zone 22.38 acres in the R1 LPZ low-density residential performance overlay zoning district and open space for annexation. The property is located at 1170 Apricot Lane. The surrounding roadways include Apricot Lane to the south, Jacqueline Drive to the north, and Cannery Road to the east. The property is located within the city's sphere of influence and planning area. The City Council of the City of Hollister authorized the initiation of the application for the pre-zoning of the property on September 21st, 2009 regular meeting. Pending pre-zoning approval, the City Council will be asked to approve a resolution requesting the Local Agency Formation Commission, LAFCO, to initiate proceedings for annexation of the property. Pre-zone application must include a plan for providing services that describes how the public services will be provided to the property considered for the pre-zoning and annexation. So for utility services, there's existing 8-inch water main along Jacqueline Drive, Steinbeck Drive, and Apricot Lane. There's existing 8-inch sanitary sewer main along Jacqueline Drive, Steinbeck Drive, and Apricot Lane. And there is an 18-inch storm drain main along Steinbeck Drive, a 60-inch storm drain main on Apricot Lane, and an 18-inch storm drain main along Summer Drive. The City of Hollister city limits currently ends along the northern, eastern, and southern boundaries of the project site. Single-family homes currently exist to the north and the south of the project site, and currently a single-family residential subdivision is being constructed to the east of the project site.
The City of Hollister circulated a mitigative negative declaration for the proposed pre-zoning on March 12, 2014, and is circulated all the way through April 11, 2014, and which is attached to the staff report. The proposed pre-zone does not include any specific development at this time. However, the applicant included a conceptual map which identified 91 single-family detached lots and conceptual street sections with a 100-foot wide, 0.78 acre open space buffer zone to be maintained along the west end of the property, abutting the industrial wastewater treatment plant and the San Benito River, just where Jill is pointing out. The applicant has indicated that pending pre-zone and annexation, the applicant would propose a tentative map with 91 lots for single-family residences and the open space buffer zone at the project site. The City of Hollister received one email comment on a mitigative negative declaration, which is attached to the staff report from the Central Coast Regional Water Quality Control Board, and also one comment letter from the Monterey Bay Unified Air Pollution Control District, both of which were responded to in the staff report. The Regional Water Quality Control Board comment regarding that comment, staff recommends that the addition of mitigation measures HWQ1 on page 7 of 7 of the staff report that was provided to you, and also HWQ2 be added basically to address impacts for hydrology and water quality. These are standard conditions that we provide for stormwater management requirements per the Regional Water Quality Control Board. With this, staff recommends that the Planning Commission review the request, receive all written and oral testimony regarding the proposal for the pre-zone, and approve the attached resolutions. Number 1, recommending to the City Council the adoption of the proposed mitigated negative declaration and mitigation monitoring and reporting program. And number 2, recommending approval of pre-zone 2013-1, subject to the findings and conditions contained in the draft resolution. Does the Commission have any questions for staff?
Any comments, questions? Okay, with that, we will go ahead and open it up at 6:25 to comments. Any speaker cards on this item, Billy?
No, sir.
Okay, we'll go ahead and bring it back at 6:25. And what is the pleasure of the commission?
If I can hang on just 1 second, I apologize, Chair. I want to make sure that we have the resolution correct here. Top one. Abraham,
Yes.
when we do mitigated neg decks, is the council adopting the or the commission adopting the mitigation, I'm sorry.
Mitigated.
Are they adopting the mitigated negative declaration, or are they recommending to the city council the adoption of the mitigated negative declaration?
Recommending.
Okay. Right.
The resolution
So,
is to recommend.
What we want to probably say then is we want to revise the title on the resolution, and I believe it's also at the bottom right above the passed and adopted section of the resolution, and change adopts to hereby recommends to the city council. If one of you can make that in the form of the motion, if that is the commission's desire.
So the mitigated negative declaration should have the same language as the second planning commission resolution?
We're recommending the council adopt it.
Yeah,
We're not the adopting.
So on, as Commissioner Lenore stated, a resolution of the City of Hollister Planning Commission recommending to the City Council approving a mitigated negative declaration for pre-zone 2013-1, parentheses, Robert and Felice. And then also at the similar language at the bottom. And we can change that before execution of the resolution if it is so adopted this evening.
But I see two resolutions in our packet.
Yes,
here, so
I
okay.
believe the second one
The
is.
other one is okay.
The other one is correct.
Okay. All right. Okay, with that, we will bring it back to the commission. What is the pleasure on this item?
I have a comment.
Go ahead.
One of the, refresh my memory now on the performance overlay zoning.
Yes.
One of the criterias for that is providing recreational opportunities like that.
Yes, I don't have it in front of me, but I
So I
believe you're
just
right.
want to say for the record that that is one of the criterias, that some recreation and open space be provided in this zoning district. So I wanted to make that comment, because now we're in the pre-zoning.
We are in the
Next, they're
pre-zoning.
going to start planning. So I'm making it known that that's one of the criteria for that zoning. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
If I
Thank
could
you.
respond to that comment, Billy, on this particular project, is this not located near the proposed regional park as well? Or adjacent to?
Yeah, the regional park, well, just to the west of about this property is probably the southern end of the Brigantino, or the spray fields, but it's obviously it's across the river from there.
Okay, so it's way up this side,
yeah.
okay.
Well, and we don't have the money for it.
Yeah.
But it is directly adjacent to the regional trail.
Trails.
And as part of the future plan of this particular development, there is the open space that is going to be adjacent to the pond, which also will likely include a parking lot and whatnot for the actual trailhead.
Right.
Or maybe not the trailhead, but a access to the trail.
That's the starting point?
There's going to be I'm guessing, I shouldn't say that I know for sure, but there's likely to be a trailhead at the bridge located at San Juan Road. This will be an access point, and then there will likely be an access point, obviously, further south. If the river ran actually north-south, it would help, but it doesn't. Yeah, it's adjacent to the whole 17-mile river trail that's being proposed right now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
I do want to say also that the property, the 22.38 acres, the mitigative negative declaration was evaluated at a full build-out, which would be up to 8 units per the acre. However, based on our conversations with the applicant, it may be lower than that full build-out, but still well within that range of 1 to 8 units per acre. I think it's at a target density of about 6 units per acre that the applicant is proposing. So it meets the general plan.
Okay.
That would be for net acre, right?
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. The net acre.
Okay, do we have any additional comments or entertain a motion?
I move that we adopt Resolution 2014-13, recommending to the City Council the adoption of mitigated negative declaration for pre-zone 2013-1 as presented, well, with amendment.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Do we need to do
You want me to do the
a
next
second
one?
resolution
Yes.
as well for the rezone? I'm going to make a motion to approve Planning Commission Resolution 2014-14 to make a recommendation to the City Council on the approval of ordinance adopting the requested pre-zone application number 2013-1.
A second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, item moves forward. And we'll move down to new business, possible general plan amendment for Churchill property.
Thank you. Planning staff has received an inquiry about a possible general plan amendment from mixed-use commercial and residential to low-density residential, two contiguous county parcels consisting of approximately 23.83 acres located in the northwest corner of Hillcrest and Fairview Road, as illustrated in the, which was attached to your packet, Figure 1 site plan and Figure 2 aerial view. And then this one here above is a picture of our general plan, land use plan, showing the area mixed-use Churchill property surrounded by the low-density residential. The property is contiguous to the city limits along Hillcrest Road, which borders the property to the south. The properties are located within the city's sphere of influence and planning area. And the sphere of influence is an important benchmark for the city of Hollister because it defines the primary area for which urban development is to be encouraged and where the city will be expanding, providing new and extended services. And the City of Hollister General Plan is designated the project site as mixed use, commercial and residential, which allows 25 to 40 units net acre.
Okay, although the Churchill property is outside of the cities of Hollister's, although the Churchill property is outside of the city of Hollister city limits, it is within the sphere of influence and it is within the planning area, and it is designated mixed-use commercial. So therefore, if they were to come in right now for pre-zoning for annexation, the city of Hollister would recommend, based on the general plan, that they pre-zone for mixed use. The zoning would be neighborhood mixed use. And so the mixed-use commercial and residential designation is intended to promote a vertical or horizontal combination, as you know, of residential and commercial uses, either within a single building, having commercial on the bottom and residential on top, or within the site, having commercial and residential side by side. The designation is intended to encourage retail sales, service, offices, and public uses on the ground floor with upper floors of offices and residential uses. The low-density residential, which is the inquiry that we receive from a prospective client, the low-density residential category of land, it uses this to promote and protect single-family neighborhoods, as you all know, and to provide sites for single-family detached units. The nearest existing commercial site from the Churchill properties is Village Market, which is a small neighborhood market located about 3,100 feet to the west of the intersection of Hillcrest Road and Fairview Road. And the nearest commercial designations from the Churchill properties in the city limits are located along the Highway 25 bypass. So with this, staff would like direction from the Planning Commission as to whether or not the Planning Commission would support a general plan amendment for the Churchill property from mixed use, as is stated currently in the general plan, to low-density residential.
Okay, any,
Just clarification, so with the mixed-use land use designation,
Yes,
that requires a commercial component, correct?
that's correct. It would be both commercial and residential. That's correct.
That's my only question.
I have
Yes.
a question of staff. Well, what changed when we did the general plan amendment? They requested that zoning designation, didn't they? Remember, it was kind of an issue?
Back in October?
And no,
Way back when.
yeah, way back in
okay.
2005. I don't know if they necessarily request the owners or the Churchill property owners requested it, but it was designated or it was recommended at that point to try to capture some of the Fairview traffic as a neighborhood center, and that would be the most logical place to put it from a basic, well, obviously from a general plan perspective. And the reason the item is actually before you tonight is that as the commission may or may not be aware, general plan amendments cost a fortune. Okay, and if you'll recall, the staff, we brought a general plan amendment, kind of initiation general plan amendment, a couple months back regarding some commercial properties off of Kirkpatrick Drive, off of San Felipe. We received support from the Planning Commission, or the applicant did at that point, but then at City Council it was denied. Again, and we are just trying to be a little bit cautious as we move forward from this particular, in this particular light. We don't necessarily believe that it's advantageous for us to go through and have somebody spend, $30, $40, $50, $60,000 going through the general plan amendment process if in fact it would not get any support from the Planning Commission and or the City Council. So I think the applicants, the potential applicants, are aware that this is the general plan designation at this point, and they may just be asked to live with that designation. Again, there's no, as far as I know, there's no development projects that are slated for the property. I know that they have been trying to go through they've been asking about the annexation process. We're hoping that not only that particular parcel gets annexed when it comes in. We want to try to, assuming there is an annexation, we'd like to have some of the surrounding properties annexed at the same time, so we can do a better plan for services and kind of attach the whole piece as one instead of piecemealing our annexations in that particular area. But again, really from our perspective, I can tell you that the Santana Ranch project, which is adjacent to Fairview, just down the street, has a commercial component to it. The City of Hollister, I will use the same argument I made the last time. City of Hollister itself, with the Guerra piece and the Gibson piece, has, and what's right already in the city limits, we have a significant amount of what I would call commercial properties. I don't think that this particular commercial piece would ever be considered, an A site. It may be okay for a kind of a smaller neighborhood thing, but at the same time, we do have a current market that is on Hillcrest. And again, there's going to most likely be a larger commercial center if ever developed as part of the Santana Ranch piece, without it being in the city of limits, of course. But I don't know if that area can support that much, to be honest with you. So.
I would have no problem supporting it to be changed if that's what the consensus was. I mean, there's nothing out there.
Yeah, and I guess from our perspective, it's not really an item. We don't have a resolution for you. There's not a formal application, but I think before we went down that path, I kind of wanted to get some sort of feel from you as to whether or not this is just something that you don't want to explore at all, or if it is. I mean, there's always a risk to development, and we may be split here, and I just maybe have to go back to the owners and say, I don't have a clear direction, and we're just going to have to go down the path and see what happens. So.
Well, it's not a public hearing item, so
no.
From the owner's standpoint, what is their contention about making the general plan change from the mixed use? Is it a marketing difficulty of the commercial component, or?
Well, I'm sure where we're headed back to, obviously, is the city of Hollister is, as we're slowly coming out of the recession, the amount of sort of multifamily properties that are available and the difficulty in financing those types of projects versus the more typical or traditional little piece of the American pie, 6,000 square foot, low density residential projects, is a much easier in and out sort of situation to get in. I mean, this is what you're seeing with the projects that we have in front of us. So, I mean, that's kind of the impetus behind going to an LDR project rather than a high-density and commercial project.
Yeah, I see when we think about mixed use, I think I really find mixed use a challenging, but, it's a nice visionary type of land use designation. However, to go forward with that, it does take a little bit element of risk, especially in this economy.
I would support the lower density residential in that area, and that being my district as well.
I think we planned for a mixed-use overlay or a mixed use there for a reason. I see a lot of LDR. So I always like to mix it up a little bit. And aside from the fact that Santana Ranch is there, that's in the county. This is in the city. So I'm inclined to be more favorable to the mixed use.
I go along with Carol. I think the mixed use is good concept.
I think when we're always saying we want commercial, maybe we need to give a few more options of where the commercial is to get some interested people. Yeah, it's not a big shopping center. It could be a nice little strip mall, but it can't be the big anchor. But we need to have opportunity for commercial people, and the opportunity isn't necessarily just downtown. So maybe some options there could bring in another restaurant out there, something.
About a restaurant?
That's my thinking.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I interrupted you. That was bad.
Oh, it's okay.
No, go ahead.
I'm done.
Abraham, just
I'm
review, for our edification, review the mixed-use land use designation and the requirement for the commercial component. Can you just kind of clarify that for us?
What the mixed use entails?
Yes.
Sure. Okay, so the mixed-use commercial and residential designation is intended to promote a vertical or horizontal combination of residential and commercial uses within a single building or site. The designation is intended to encourage retail sales, service, office, and public uses on the ground floor with upper floors of office and residential uses. The mixed-use commercial and residential category applies to commercial activity that includes government and professional offices, neighborhood-oriented retail, community shopping centers, specialty stores, arts and crafts, woodworking, and assembly processes.
But what I really want to know, what's the ratio? Is there a ratio of commercial to residential?
Yeah, so the general plan also allows for residential to be, I believe it's 20 to 35 dwelling units per acre. So that's the higher density that the city of Hollister has within its zoning general plan designations. So therefore, on an acre, the city expects that at least the minimum range is met, and then the rest can be used for commercial or offices.
And if I can also, I think one of the things that Commissioner Hoy is referring to is that in the West Gateway area was the only place that we specifically said that there was going to be X number of units per X number of square feet of retail.
That's what I recall.
Right. It was only in that particular section of the West Gateway area.
Okay. Only in the West Gateway.
Yeah. All the other mixed use.
That conversation because I know we talked about that, but
yes.
It doesn't apply to.
It does not. There is not a standard ratio. I mean, we wouldn't go in and look at that 40 acres and say there's going to be 10 acres of commercial and 30 acres of. There's not a specific ratio. Okay.
But there has to be, after they meet their density of 23 units, whatever's left over has to be commercial. Is that correct? Pretty much.
They would have to meet at least the minimum range of the density to conform with the mixed use for residential, and then the rest would have to be commercial.
So what type of housing would it be in a mixed use?
In a mixed use, Commissioner Lenore, it would be mainly multifamily, apartments, townhomes,
So it could
condos.
be condominiums?
Correct,
Those
correct.
Those all provide home ownership.
Correct.
They seem to be popular, so I think that's the best of both worlds. The condo, the townhome, and the commercial, the neighborhood commercial.
Correct. Smaller units provides for home ownership.
So,
Yeah, I believe Chairman Torres probably knows the project very well, but Hugh Bickle's firm did a really nice sort of mixed-use project in Salinas on Constitution and Independence. And if you ever are in that particular vicinity, if you want to drive by and see something that's actually one of the first ones that kind of what I would say works around here, it's actually a pretty nice project.
Where's it out again?
It's on
Or
Constitution.
what's it called?
That I don't know.
Creekwood Village.
Creekwood Village?
Creek Bridge.
Creekbridge Village, in where
Off
again?
in Salinas, off Natividad. And,
Yeah.
yeah, Creek Bridge.
Because I would like to see it.
Yeah, it's actually it's a pretty nice facility. I'm not sure exactly what the density is on a per acre basis. It's probably not as dense as what we're talking about because, like I said, getting to 20 units an acre around here is nearly impossible with parking requirements and open space and everything else that we have. But that's the other thing that at some point we need to probably really take a closer look at. But
The
but
success
I
of
think
that- oh, I'm sorry.
yeah, I think what we're hearing is that we probably want to continue with. Or we'll leave it up to the applicant to make their decision because it's clear it's not clear, and we'll just go through the process if they don't so desire. So we can probably put it to rest. Okay.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Item number 2 is an update, status report on amendments to Title 17 zoning to the Hollister Municipal Ordinance to amend Title 17 zoning to add Section 1722-240 mobile food vendors.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Members of the Planning Commission, staff has prepared a draft ordinance addressing the mobile food vending facilities based on the direction given from the City Council and Planning Commission. Staff has researched the state health and safety codes as well as zoning codes from other cities pertaining to mobile food vendors. Also, staff has talked to other planners and health officials regarding mobile food facilities, as well as met with operating, prospective, and former mobile food vendors. So staff prepared a draft ordinance. We're not here before you to ask formal recommendation. We're hoping though to come back in May, pending on our discussion tonight. And it's a draft ordinance for the mobile food vendor section of the code. Staff is proposing to add this section to Chapter 17, which is the zoning code. Typically, prior to this, it was Chapter 5 and Chapter 10. I think Chapter 5 was finance and Chapter 10 business, I think. But we're hoping to put it on Chapter 17 zoning. Basically, Planning Department has done the research on this project, and we can put it in. We can fit it in Chapter 17, Section 22 for special uses. There are 5 sections in the draft ordinance, which include A, definitions, B, permit requirements, C, application submittal, D, grounds for denial, and E, permit revocation. So tonight, staff will give you a brief overview of the ordinance, and would like to start with A, the definitions. And essentially, we don't want to go over the definitions quite yet because we still want to take it to our next Development Review Committee meeting and discuss these definitions, which essentially are taken from state health codes, and we want to make sure that everything is in regards, in conformance to what's required for cities and what's required by the health department as well. So just for the definitions, Section A would just be definitions essentially. Section B would be permit requirements. And so starting with Section B, and as you can see in your draft ordinance that we have provided for you, based on previous meetings with the Planning Commission, we have basically reviewed the zoning code and have indicated that mobile food vendors would be permitted in the following sections. North Gateway, which is the north side of the city of Hollister, basically north of Santa Ana Road. M1, the light industrial sections, which are mainly in the north area of town, but also there are some M1 sections off of Hillcrest. Also, the industrial business parks, the airport zoning designation, and the airport support zoning designation. Very briefly, we're going to go over some of these permit requirements that are also in your draft ordinance. If you have any questions, feel free to either stop us or let us know at the end if you want to mark it down a little bit on your paper, or you don't have the papers anymore. But if you want to just keep note of it, and at the end, we'll be happy to discuss them as well. Essentially, there's 12 permit requirements that we have based on our research. First one, the area proposed, and also Joe has them here on the PowerPoint. First one, the area proposed for the use of the mobile food shall be developed to current city development standards. That's for the area where the mobile food facility would be proposed. 2, a minimum of 3 standard on-site parking spaces in conformance with city standards should be on the site. 3, adequate setbacks shall be provided as required by the zoning district where the mobile vendor proposes to locate. 4, no person may conduct business within 20 feet of any driveway. That's basically for health and safety reasons, and it's important that we have that present. 5, the mobile food vending facility shall be kept in a good state of repair. 6, the exterior of a mobile food facility and the surrounding area shall be maintained in a sanitary condition. And we don't have all the details that the health department has, so we just want to make sure that we have that here, and then the health department, pursuant to the permit that we're going to need from the health department, they'll make sure that all of the sanitary conditions are met. I believe that was one comment that we received from the previous workshop. 7, all trash or debris accumulating by reason of any vending facility shall be collected by the vendor and deposited in a trash container. 8, the hours of operation of a mobile food vending facility shall be limited to the hours of operation of the fixed-base business on the fixed-base host site. Number 9, when not in use, the mobile vendor shall provide proper storage for the vehicle and specify storage location at time of permit. And again, that's going to be another requirement that is also going to have to be met by the health department. Number 10, the pouring of grease or anything else down the storm drain is prohibited. Any spills must be cleaned up and disposed of immediately. A spill kit must be handy at all times. Number 11, all wash water used for cleaning must be held on board until it can be properly discharged. And number 12, before actually going into the application, number 12, no owner or operator of any catering vehicle may place any chairs, stools, tables, or other fixtures or furniture on any portion of the street, sidewalk, or public right-of-way.
Under C for the application submittal,
But they can place them on the private property, right?
That's correct, Commissioner
Little
Leonard.
bench, something?
On the private property, if they want to put some chairs there,
Seating?
that's
Okay.
not, this will not prohibit that, only
Okay.
only like on sidewalks or public
Right.
right-of-way. That's correct.
okay, for the application submittal, number 1, the provider shall complete and submit a project application to include a site plan. 2, proof of current and valid city business license. 3, proof of current vehicle registration and a copy of an applicable vehicle insurance policy for the catering vehicle. 4, elevation plans showing different exterior views of the mobile food unit. They also can provide photographs if they have that as well, to substitute as elevations. Number 5, a copy of a current San Mateo County environmental health permit. 6, proof demonstrating acknowledgement and consent of the property owner to the permit of the vendor to permit the vendor to operate at the site. And it must be signed by the property owner. And then number 7, an affidavit from the business or location providing the required restroom facilities for food service workers and customers. Number 8, a description of the length of time during which it is proposed that the mobile food vending business shall be conducted. 9, a brief description of the nature, character, and quantity of food, beverage, goods, or merchandise that is to be sold. Number 10, if employed by another, the name of the business address of the employed person. Number 11, any other information the director may require to show full compliance with this chapter and any other applicable laws of the city. Number 12, all signs used shall be in conjunction with any mobile food vending facility, shall comply with city codes. And for under D, the following may constitute grounds for denial of a permit to operate. And number 1, the mobile food vending operations or activity that's proposed by the applicant does not comply with all applicable laws. Number 2, failure to obtain clearance from the San Diego County Environmental Health. And under E for permit revocation, any license issued under this chapter may be suspended or revoked for any of the following reasons. 1, fraud or misrepresentation of the application for the license. 2, conducting the business of vending contrary to the conditions of the license. 3, conducting the business of vending in such a manner as to create a public nuisance or constitute a danger to public health, safety, and welfare. Number 4, vending of alcoholic beverages, controlled substances, or any other item, the possession or use of which is deemed illegal under any federal, state, or local law. Number 5, on suspension or revocation, the city shall deliver written notice to the license holder stating the action taken and the reasons supporting such action. And finally, number 6, the director shall reserve the right to revoke any permit authorized by this section if the director determines that the mobile food vending facility is in violation of any provisions of this section. And the mobile food vendor shall have the right to appeal the director's decision in accordance with the provisions of section 1724-170, revocation of administrative permits.
So this is a draft that has been created thoroughly. It's in your possession for your review. We have not yet taken this thoroughly to our development review committee and have not provided it, have not given our city attorney a chance to review it as well to make sure that everything is in order. We would like to do that. The first week of May, we should have that before the development review committee for any comments. If you have any comments as well, we'll be happy to hear them. We will still keep in touch with the mobile food vendors that have provided their information to us, and give them also the opportunity to make any other comments necessary before we bring it, we hope, in May 22nd for a formal recommendation to the city council.
Question. So one of the rules was it has to be while the business is in. How does it go or relate to when the rally comes? And maybe folks will see an opportunity to park in a parking lot, but the business would need to be open, correct?
Yes, if
and it would fall under the planning end of regular planning and not necessarily the motorcycle administrative use permit,
That's a good point, Commissioner Lenore. However, it could also fall within the major temporary use permit application, which would be different.
Well, so which one will you do you think? Just something for you to think about.
That's correct.
Is it going to be this or is it going to be that? 'Cause
Correct.
it is a special weekend with a sanctioned event.
That's correct.
So it's something, yeah.
That's a good point, Commissioner Lenore, and I think at that point, because it is a big deal in the city regarding the motorcycle rally.
You might want to clarify
yeah.
that it might not be for a sanctioned event type of thing.
Correct.
Or not. I'm just throwing it out there.
Good point. Thank you.
I think you guys did a good job on the permit requirements,
Thank you.
and I commend you for that, but I was prepared to, I know you prefaced your discussion about not talking about definitions, but I had a strong reservation about one of the definitions.
We'll be happy to hear it if you would like to share
If
it.
you look at the definition of solicitor, how would you differentiate, like a Girl Scout going door to door selling Girl Scout cookies, when that person would qualify as a solicitor? So I'm sure you don't intend for a Girl Scout to have to pull a permit and pay a bond, right?
That's correct, Commissioner Heboy. We do currently have, I believe it's section 5.24.10. There is currently a definition for solicitor. Was that the one you were referring to, Commissioner Heboy, or
Yes.
was? Oh, okay.
If you read that definition.
Yeah, that's the
I think
one.
I'd just be mindful of that and how you differentiate, someone selling cookies or selling candy for their school music department.
No, that's a good point.
All right.
Yeah, it's in the finance section, and this is not going to be amended. This is actually as is, but that's a good point. What you brought up.
Just be mindful of that.
Yeah, because the mobile food section is going to be added on without necessarily changing any of what's existing, but we definitely don't want to be changing anything that's going to,
Hurt Girl
strict
Scouts,
Hurt the
Cub
Girl
Scouts,
Scouts,
Boy
yeah.
Scouts.
Especially if they're doing it for such a good reason. Absolutely.
Abraham, I have a question. Has there been any discussion with the county, given the number of unincorporated areas within the city limits, and, just trying to see how vendors could try finding loopholes
Yes.
in setting up shop on a county parcel? Have there been any discussions with the county to incorporate a similar type of ordinance so that both are on the same page?
That's a good point. I don't think that they currently have one. I'm not sure. I would have to check with them and see. Right, there are a lot of county pockets basically surrounded by city limits. And if right now, because the city doesn't have a vending, mobile food vending ordinance, the applicants can potentially go to the county and be able to basically use county property. So, yeah, that's a good point. We can definitely. Normally, the county is who submits referrals to the city, but for something like this, I think we can also send it to them and even discuss with them to see if they can adopt something that's more similar.
Thank you. Additional comments? Okay.
No, I had one. Who's going to be in charge of making sure this is all taken care of?
That's a good point, Commissioner Alvarez. Essentially, what they're going to require is to submit an administrative permit application, which is already part of the planning department's process. If the applicant is interested in submitting for being a vendor within the city limits, pending adoption of this ordinance, they would come in to our office. It's a 2-page application, and essentially it has all of the requirements that we have here for the site plan requirements. They'll draw up. They're not going to need architectural plans. They can do them as long as they do a good job showing us site plan and all the description. They fulfill the permit requirements. They give them to us. We review it, and we make sure that everything is consistent and conforming to the code, and then we would issue their permit, essentially.
Okay, do we actually have to go down to the vendor and check on it? Will we?
Yeah,
To be on display.
I know Mike.
Yeah.
That's the new guy now, but.
So once we review it and the city decides that it's in conformance and we approve it, then essentially they'll set up and then they'll notify us, or they'll just tell us when they believe it they're going to be set up, and then normally code enforcement who goes out there, and then
Plus the health department goes.
and the health department
So
would
they'll
have
be
to
the
go as well.
enforcement agency for
Yeah.
compliance.
Yeah, and normally code enforcement, if they see that everything's fine, sometimes if they have a permit in their hand, a copy of the permit, they won't even need to get off. But normally the health department would have to get off and test temperatures and things like that. So then we'll be working together with them.
Okay, I just want to pass ordinances and then we have no way to, make sure that they're followed. So,
Followed, yeah.
We need additional staff. Is it going to take, additional staff? Is it going to pay for itself? So those are the kind of things that, I'm
That's-
concerned about
Sure,
also.
sure.
And then how many caterers did you talk to?
Caterers, we have about
vendors?
7, about 7 in our list.
Good.
Yeah, and so we still want to talk to them before bringing it officially to you. But we have about 7 or so
Good.
that are interested. Yeah, in coming in.
Is the prepared food already taxable? I know that the drinks aren't, but when they prepare foods on a mobile vending, is that a taxable item like it is at McDonald's, or do you know?
I know they're gonna be required to get a business license, but I'm not sure if
I
it's
was
gonna
just
be.
wondering, is those kinds of things taxable? It's a prepared food.
I'm going to say the answer to that is absolutely yes.
It is?
Yeah.
So we're getting sales tax.
Yeah.
That's a good
Assuming
thing.
that they report
Yeah, that's the
point of
next thing.
sales. I mean, that's
Well-
the thing with everything. So
Yeah.
Well, we should maybe look at that.
that's not as easy to
Well,
enforce.
well, the
That's-
heck it
that's
is
the
that
difficult
Board of
one, right?
Equalization, come on
Yeah.
now.
Right.
Yeah, good
Well,
thing for sales
and-
tax revenue.
That was just a question, I was
No.
curious,
Yeah.
that's all. Well, if they're supposed to, that's kind of a biggie for us, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
About the guys that already have, the guys that are already operating already have a permit, right? I mean, they're gonna have to do something different than, they have to go through another process themselves, or they?
Commissioner Harvey, the ones that are operating, right now, they're operating through our temporary use permit application, which allows for a person to be on a site up to 4 times a year. And so therefore, right now, since we don't have anything adopted, they're formally adopted, they're using their 4 per site, and then moving to another location, also using the, when the farmer's market is established, we see them here a lot as well. So now they're going to be able to use this section, come in, get an administrative permit application. Absolutely.
So this is going to supersede the temporary use permit?
It will, it will.
Is the other one going to still be effective?
It will still be effective. So, for example,
Because it applies for other uses besides mobile vending.
that is correct. That is correct, including one-day sales, correct? yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. We'll move on to next time, department reports. Did it? Planning Commission reports?
I have a report,
Okay.
Mr. Chair. 2 things. Don't normally mention my being the co-host of the Going Green CMAP Community Media Access Program, but May 1st, we have an exciting show. One segment will have City Councilman Victor Gomez, and he's also candidate for supervisor, to discuss environmental issues. And the second segment will have Citadel Corporation, or Citadel Exploration, excuse me, and San Benito Rising to debate the anti-fracking initiative. And then on May 3rd, sponsored by the Hollister Downtown Association, we have with the wine stroll, which was sold out in October. And just so you know, Mr. O's Jazz Band will be playing, the Doghouse Crew, and David Huboy and the Architecturals. Got to mention that. We're practicing up there off Dean Machado's house, way up on Fremont Peak, so we're tightening it up. Check it out.
Okay, any additional reports?
One quick thing, just want to remind the community of the farmer's market that's starting next month. It runs through September, and it's going to be located on Main Street, on San Benito Street. So that's very exciting. I hope people come on out to that. It's just one of the better events we have.
Okay.
Bill, any movement on having a meeting with the San Benito Planning Commission?
I apologize. No, but I'll get that done.
Okay.
San Benito County Planning Commission.
I will remind him too.
You know who you should actually remind? Those two are way better than I am.
No, it's got to be you.
Well, if you remind them, they're on me.
We're a good team, yeah, we got it.
I think it's very important that we get that meeting together with a lot of things that are going on out there.
Okay.
So, thank you.
No problem. Sorry about
Thank you.
that.
Any additional? That'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
I move we adjourn.
Motion? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next meeting, May 22nd, 2014 at 6 p.m. Thank you.
We'll make tip-off.